video part 1 of my garden. I'm just going to take a quick snap of my basil and parsley. But the rest of the garden's elsewhere, so I'm going to stop now and head that way. Another quick snapshot of my fennel. I ran out of space in my garden, and I had 6 plants, so I put it by the herb garden, my husband's herb garden. So there's the fennel. It looks like we've already eaten one, so it's doing all right. This is the smaller garden. It's near the house, and my son built a bunch of planters. So I didn't choose the best spot for these tomatoes. It was literally a matter of I had to get them in the ground somewhere. I thought it would be temporary, but they're doing all right. I've been plucking all the suckers off. This one doesn't have any fruit yet. Lots of flowers. This one's got fruit on it. We've been eating these. 2 different varieties. So I didn't do the best job with my trellis. At the last minute, I wound up putting the proper trellis here. Anyway, this is I know I should have pulled that lettuce, but we're actually still eating it. I had lettuce in both of these, green in the right and then the red. So I'm gonna pull it and start putting my next crop in here, but we actually are still eating the lettuce. I did have where the empty spot is there, that's kale that I recently pulled. There's still some kale there, so I'm pulling that to eat. And behind it is my celery that seems to, it's not doing that curly thing. So you know, we've been harvesting it. I did plant these yellow flowers early in the season to attract pollinators. But right next to it, this is there was a stump here, and we put dirt over the stump, and so I've planted sunflowers, zinnias, and there's nasturtiums, or however you pronounce it, down here. So this is a pollinator garden. It got a bit weedy, but okay, so we've been harvesting this and it just grows right back. So the red kale to the left and then the collards. I mean, we've eaten at least 2 meals, and I, you know, break it off, we eat it, and then it just grows right back. And it's really doing quite well. It's taken over the leeks though, so I'm gonna harvest that today, get it out the way, and we'll eat it. This turned into weeds. I did try to plant cresses here. Didn't take, so I'm gonna pull all this up and get my next garden in. Jalapenos, so the leeks there are doing all right. Gotta harvest those probably. Jalapenos are growing. And this was sugar snap peas that, sorry about my finger. Sugar snap peas, they didn't really do well at all. So I'm gonna pull that up. Okra, I planted lots of okra, but only 2 took. Now, I did have a problem with a squirrel for a while, and the squirrel kind of mangled things up. So there's some purple onion. This was some radish here, and I actually harvested it. It's empty there, so I need to pull that up. Beets, I had loads of beets here. This empty space here, I just harvested like a week ago, and this is some newer beets. So all this I need to get pulled up and new garden planted. This was spinach and arugula, but again, we ate it. So I need to pull all this up, get it de-weeded. Bell peppers that are just starting to grow. So there's some in there. Yep. Oh, chard. We keep eating that and it grows right back. So this was actually near Garen. I just, you know, cut it off and it keeps growing. I had some extra onions to put in there. That's empty. So all this that needs to be just pulled up and then plant the new garden. This lettuce, we just ate some last night. It's grown into little trees. But romaine. That's a fake snake. So, rhubarb I planted like 2 years ago, and I chose the worst place in the world to plant it, in this planter. So I keep weeding it out, so it doesn't shadow the little lunchbox peppers, I guess you call them. Okay, so here are the eggplant. And one's finally starting to grow. It was a tiny little plant, just, I mean, for weeks and weeks and weeks. I've got to go pull some of this icky stuff out of here. Sorry, I just noticed that. But there's a flower there. You know, you can see the flea beetles. I keep putting dimetris earth on it, but then it keeps raining. So, there was a flower over here a couple days ago. It looks like it's disappeared. Loads of flea beetles. So, I'm now just coming out and just smashing. Oh, look, that's a weed. Smashing them with my hand. Oh no, maybe that wasn't a weed. I don't know. It's not an eggplant. Sorry. Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop now because I'm gonna go to the big garden. Sorry, just one kind of broad angled of the smaller garden, just so you can kind of see the setup there. But this is what I first planted, all this stuff. So I need to get in here and clean it up. Okay, so this is the bigger garden. I'm short, so I'll hold the camera up. And I'll just walk in here. Fenced in, keep critters out, and also ducks and chickens in. They're not in this fenced in area here though. They're just in this main field. Oh, there they are. They think I have treats. So along the fence line, weeds are starting to grow. So I need to do some kind of permanent walkway of some sort. All right, so this is one garden that's fenced in. This was a duck area. I got ducks last year, and it was barren. Yeah, so I wound up fencing it off and planting some things. I ran out of mulch, and but the carrots have grown. I had 3 rows. 2 rows have grown, and so anyway, that's the carrots. This just fell. Take that up. Bear with me, sorry. Okay, so there's the cucumber that was on death's door. I literally didn't think it was going to come back. It just would not grow. I put it in the ground anyway. I've been keeping it, you know, watered and weeded, and except for along the fence line, you know. But cucumbers are starting to grow, so this came back to life. Asparagus, I got 2 rows of it. I know that purslane looks like a weed. It is a weed, but I'm gonna harvest it for a salad today. So I let it grow and I'm gonna pull it up, but I've been keeping it pretty well weeded. So this is the first year for this asparagus though. I mean, it's just growing like little trees. Really strange. I don't know really what to do with it. So I just came out here, I want to say yesterday, and pulled weeds. So I gotta go to get some more mulch. It's fenced off here. So, oh, onions, they seem to be doing pretty good. A mix of candy and purple or red, and white and yellow. They're just starting to turn brown tips and have bulbs, so I need to harvest that. And I saw the email of how to store. This area here it got kind of out of control. I mean, I keep pulling weeds. I need to do something with it. But these peas grew, and I think they're ready to harvest. They look like they are. So I'm gonna pull all this up and again, get the next season going. And I need to get some mulch. The tomatoes, I don't know, they don't really look that great this year. I've been, you know, they're along the fence line, tied up. Some grew, but I got a lot of this brown junk this year, you know. quite a bit of it. So, well, I'll get that in a minute. I can't do it one-handed. So, I don't know. I mean, some tomatoes have grown. But like in previous years, I would have just gazillions of these little orange ones. Never ending. This year, maybe it's because this was a duck yard. And I mean, it was barren. And it would have had a lot of whatever duck poop has. Maybe it had too much of it. Okay, so you leave this little area here. Makeshift fence. I keep it fenced in because of chickens and ducks. There we go. All right, another makeshift sheet for a fence, but or gate actually. Hey, it works. Okay, so here, corn, beans, potatoes. I've been hand pollinating the corn. It's just starting to show those silks. So I've been shaking the tops onto paper and then just kind of gently, oh, it looks like I've got some corn actually growing. Hey, it worked. Loads of bees. Good gracious, I didn't notice so many bees before. Okay, so potatoes, this huge patch of, in the beginning it starts potato, 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 potato. And it's all falling over, so I guess it's probably, what, you know, ready to harvest. These are blue ones down here. Get this view of it maybe. Corn, potatoes. This row did really poorly. There was a pumpkin and yellow squash. It started to not look so great. The peas, I had actually pulled those, but apparently I didn't pull all of them. So there's just a few random pea plants there. I'll let them grow because they got peas on them. So I've got French beans here in this patch here. And I've got marigolds in between them. But, you know, I haven't seen any bugs at all on these French bean plants. Now, this right here, this trellis here is my Kentucky Wonders. Are my Kentucky Wonders. I did make the mistake of when my other cucumber plants looked pitiful, I got two more and I had nowhere to put them, and I put them at the end here because it was all tiny. I'll never do that again. So they started taking over the beans and I've been redirecting them towards the fence line. The beans themselves are doing great, but as you can see, yeah, I come out here every early evening and pluck, you know, like 1,000 Japanese beetles off. Hand pluck them off into soapy water. So I am keeping it maintained, but boy, it's a bit of a pain. And I've seen some of the little yellow fuzzy looking caterpillars, I guess the bean ones, and a few cucumber beetles, those little tiny yellow ones with the black spots. So they all get chucked into the soapy water. But my beans at the ground level, the bushy beans, I've had no problems with pests at all. Touch wood. That verbena, lemon verbena or whatever it's called, the purple flowers, that sprouted back from last year. So there was like nothing there, and it just sprouted back like a huge tree. And it was actually a beautiful huge tree. I could show you a photo as of yesterday. We got a rainstorm and it just knocked it all down. So I'm going to research what I can do with the harvest it. I don't know if you can do anything with it or not. Greasy beans right here. Now in the background, that's a chicken yard. You know, it was barren. It grows up every year. So I haven't done anything about it because we're actually looking for a new property. We're going to keep this one, but I'm going to do a better job when we get our new property as far as a permanent garden. Anyway, greasy beans. They didn't get as much damage with the Japanese beetles. I mean, they get some, but I pluck them off. I'm wondering if it's that lemon verbena plant that was, I mean, literally it's just, it was huge. It's just falling down over there, you can see. But I've noticed that the beetles don't really, I mean, there's a few, but it's not so bad. Anyway, the beans are growing now, so I need to get out here and harvest them. Yeah, just saw those. And these are my bush, half runner beans. I planted a whole row, but only half a row grew. And I've gotten a huge harvest off of these over and over and over again, and hardly any pests. Now back here, I had this patch, and I was like, what am I gonna do with it? Well, I had zucchini, and they were looking pretty pitiful. I pulled them up completely. Those two actually looked okay, so I left those two. But I don't know, they don't seem to be doing anything. I think I'm gonna try it over again. But this is melon, and it's growing quite well, and I just keep redirecting it away from these beans. So I might just wind up making this a melon patch. And be done with the whole. Well, no, there's some zucchini. That's a huge one. I missed that one. But yeah, you see that powdery mildew. I saw your email, so I'm gonna look into that. Okay, so then I've got a half row of sweet potatoes and another half row over there. So it's, sorry, a full row of sweet potatoes. I gotta redirect that melon. It's taken over it. Sweet potatoes back here. So I'm going to clean this up so that because the sweet potatoes are going to just take over this. I just noticed this though. This just happened. That right there, that melon looking all wonky. So maybe that's the vine borer. What I did this year was I put diatomaceous earth at the base and foil at the base to keep those vine borers away. That's why you see bits of foil on the ground. But, oh look, there's a little thing here. But the rain just keeps washing away the diatomaceous earth. Okay, so then, I mean, it all looks pretty healthy other than the tops. It's just at the tops the Japanese beetles get to it. And I've been plucking them off. So there's a few today, but it's not nearly what it was. And I'll get them tonight. Okay, so then I've got 2 rows of greasy beans. I've got turkey craw on the right and lazy wife on the left. And the lazy wife didn't do as great, but I think this was like the last thing I planted. So I probably wasn't as vigorous with things as I should have been. That's sectioned off as a duck yard. So there's a herb garden over here I'm trying to grow. But, you know, and all that jungle there is the chicken, where the chickens are, and I let it grow up so that they can get away from predators. But I will pull it down before it starts to flower. Okay, so that's pretty much it other than fruit trees. You know, I mean, I've got a pecan tree that's doing really well. Blueberries did really well. Blackberries along the fence, you know, all that's doing well. That's basically it. So, that's the smaller garden near our house that I mentioned. Bigger garden out here. And let me know if I can send any photos or anything else. Thank you so much. Bye.